Hello, everybody. This is Jay Ellenby, president of Safe Harbors Business Travel, and we're back. We're back in our Travel Expert Series, number 4 with Delta Airlines. I have with me Matt Kutches. So welcome, Matt.
Thank you.
Matt is a general manager of global sales for Delta Airlines. His team is tasked with partnering with global corporate and travel management companies to expand revenue and market share for Delta Airlines and its joint venture partners worldwide. Matt has been at Delta for 14 years and resides in Brooklyn, New York. Okay, Matt, what you been doing the past couple months?
Well, on behalf of Delta, I wanted to extend a quick thanks to you, Jay, Jason Block, and the entire Safe Harbors team for the opportunity to participate in today's call. We really could not do what we do without your strong support and that of our mutual customers. The last 2 months, I'm sure similar to you, has been a blur. Take today, for example. I woke up this morning and said, today sounds like a great day to work from home. So here we are.
And here you are.
So ironically, I'm actually not home in Brooklyn, New York. For the past 2 months, my family has traded our tiny New York City apartment to cohabitate with our parents in Michigan. I feel very blessed, actually, that we had the flexibility to temporarily relocate and ride out the uncertain times. We have 3 young children, and like many of you tuning in today, we're going through the trials and tribulations of balancing homeschooling, Delta work requirements. My 2-year-old makes many guest appearances on WebExes. I would say, so be forewarned, but right now is her nap time, so this is the best time for us.
Well, thanks for joining us, Matt. As I mentioned to everybody, this is our 4th in a series of Travel Expert Series in regard to the travel industry and corporate travel specifically. And I guess it took me a few of these to figure it out. So actually, my wife said, we really should check out this series with John Krasinski and some good news. And watched it last night. Wow, I was really impressed. And that's how I want to lead off with every one of our future series. I'm going to lead off here, Matt. Give us some good news from Delta. What's going on?
Sure. Excuse me if I start getting long-winded. You can tell me to take a seat. But health and safety of Delta's people and our customers is priority number 1. So we'll spend a lot of time throughout our call, and your subsequent questions addressing the steps that we've taken in support of that initiative. But I'd like to take a couple moments to address 2 important things, which are cash conservation and deploying our long-term strategy, which will lead into a little bit of this, some of the good news. The first piece of that good news related to cash conservation is just like in past crises, Delta has been laser focused on cash conservation and deploying self-help actions. Given the unprecedented impact on travel demand, we're very grateful that the U.S. government acted quickly to allocate CARES funds to the airline industry. Delta collected $5.4 billion this quarter in a combination of direct aid and low interest loans. We've raised a similar amount of new financing throughout the quarter. And, we've done a number of things to pause investments, consolidate our operations, accelerate the retirement of older aircraft, which actually, you want to talk about one of the good news stories as one of the least customer favorite airplanes, the MD-88 and MD-90s, are sayonara by the end of the year.
That's good news.
Yeah. We're also proud of our Delta people who have risen to the occasion. Nearly 41,000 people have taken some form of voluntary leave of absence and reduced work schedule to help reduce our payroll expenses. All of these things add up together to, address the cash burn that's been going on. And so if you want to say, another piece of that, in the March, April timeframe, we were burning around $100 million a day out the door. And through a lot of these actions and shoring up our financials and ensuring that we will be here tomorrow for when you return to travel, we've got that cash burn down to $50 billion, and we expect to get that down to $40 billion million sometime in the quarter ahead, and hopefully even more, with the goal of at the end of the year to get us to a cash neutral. So profitability is absolutely important in the long run, but we've shored up our financials and have the balance sheet to last even these unprecedented times. So that kind of addresses one piece of good news. The other piece of good news is, even in this environment, our long-term strategy is to maintain and expand customer trust. And in this time, we're offering flexibility and still preserving our Delta culture and continuing our partnerships. So even as we burn through the cash, as mentioned, we're not burning the furniture. We're really taking a look, building a plan to rescale, streamline our business, and accelerate that long-term strategy. We're thinking through what the customer experience looks like. What does the future hold? We have early indications that the customer of tomorrow will place a higher premium on the quality of service, more so than ever before, which fortunately is Delta's sweet spot. And also our future really continues on the continued development and deepening of our coordination with our strategic global partners. We continue to coordinate with them on aligning waivers and providing that same flexibility that you're getting when you buy a Delta ticket. And we're continuing our investments. We recently announced the filing of our joint venture with LATAM, and pleased to announce too that we're expanding those code share and elite benefits for that partnership coming in June. So so that's a little bit, letting you know that, from a cash conservation standpoint, we're here to build a last until well into tomorrow, and we're not keeping our eye off the long-term goal. Lastly, as it relates to capacity, April was really the bottoming out, and we've seen that. We've been having lots of discussions with our corporate customers. We've had leisure customer forums, talking with folks like yourself, Jay. Capacity in April was down 90%. Demand was down 95%. On a typical day in April, Delta would see around 500,000 passengers. We saw less than 15,000. The green, we're starting to talk about terms like green shoots, something that was not really part of our vocabulary in the past. And some of those green shoots are, yes, that is the bottom, because as recently as yesterday, we were well into the 40,000 passenger range. And our capacity looks pretty similar, April to May. We are seeing pockets of growth, evident by the fact that passengers have tripled, still at a historical low number, but we're seeing strength in Florida. We're seeing strength in California, the Rocky Mountains. People are indicating that the summer they want to. We're seeing booking behavior where certain states have loosened restrictions. We heard earlier from our network team that we're going to restart service to Cancun in June. We've brought back some of our Caribbean stations through Atlanta. So lots of little pockets of good news stories are starting to transpire.
That is good news. So for example, as the states continue to open up, which is happening pretty rapidly right now, and which I can only assume will increase demand, how quickly can Delta ramp up to be able to accommodate that demand?
Fairly quickly. We've got a lot of people ready and willing to work. We've got aircraft parked, but not long-term parking and ready to come back online. We're forecasting right now, and it's fluid, so don't hold me to this, but as we see demand pockets, we can quickly adjust schedule. We're monitoring load factor and build, and we'll add additional capacity as we see fit. Even at our lowest point from a network perspective, we never really left markets. So we're still flying there, but where you may have seen a flight 10 times a day on JFK to Los Angeles, we're flying one. But we can slowly build that back, and we expect actually that market in particular to see 4 times a day in June. So things are coming back, and we can quickly add it within a week, 2 weeks time. wherever we see demand, and we're here listening to where you're telling us the customers want to go, where the customers are telling us they want to go, and we'll add capacity accordingly.
That is great news. One of the things I do want to congratulate you and commend you at Delta Airlines is the amount of communication you do submit to, certainly to us, TMCs, agencies, and corporations, and keeping everybody up to speed about the changes in policies and what you're doing to address the current situation and moving forward also to the new world. So I congratulate you on your communication efforts. You've done a super job with that.
Thank you.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about policies and flexibility. Policies. What are your policies right now with respect to cancellations and changes and previously purchased tickets, purchasing new tickets? You can go through that a little bit, Matt.
Sure. So first, we have the industry's leading flexibility, and as it relates to previously purchased tickets that have been impacted by COVID-19. We've extended all tickets impacted from February 25th or so for international and March 1st for domestic through September 30th, 2020. Any tickets that are set to fly during that time period have been extended 2 years in validity to September 30th, 2022. If you have tickets, we also announced, I think, just last week, that if you had a ticket that was previously set to fly in a period of time that typically in our world, ticket validity only occurs for around a year.
Right.
We've extended even those tickets that weren't even set to fly by another year to give them additional flexibility as well.
What do you?
I think I probably
go ahead.
Sorry. The other thing I could also share is if you're shopping for travel in the near future, trust Delta has your back. For the near term, we've capped load factors at 50% in first class and Delta One cabins, and 60% in Premium Select, Comfort Plus, and the main cabin.
Okay. So can you talk a little bit about your loyalty programs? Obviously, it's very important to travelers, Delta Delta loyalty partners. But talk a little bit about that. How you're going to help get people back into the seats.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, we recognize that we're gonna be a slow build of bringing the network back online, and that's gonna not leave opportunities for our most loyal elite members to be able to earn their status. We've previously announced that we've extended Sky Miles Elite status by an additional year. So for those that were set to expire in January of 2021, you will actually maintain your benefits for 2021 based on your status in 2020. So at the end of this year's elite calendar year, every mile that you have earned this year will actually be added as carryover miles for elite status earned in 2021 for 2022.
Gotcha.
So we've also extended our Sky Club memberships by 6 months. And for those of you on the call that have the Delta Amex co-brand card, one of the benefits that come with the Platinum card as well as the Reserve card are flight vouchers, buy one, get a companion tickets. And those have also seen extended validity to ensure that you can monetize those as well. Very
good. Okay, so let's talk about, since we're on the topic of the policies and flexibility and loyalty. In years past, FAA typically has come out with consistent policies in regard to how airlines, airports, and so on should react to current scenarios. Today's environment appears that every airline is doing their own thing, their own initiative, and it's kind of odd that the FAA appears to be rather silent. But tell us about what Delta's doing, maybe in comparison to other carriers.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, we are working with the FAA. We're working with government health organizations, the CDC, the WHO, other parts of the federal government, state governments, local municipalities, and the TSA for that matter, on taking guidance and input on the development of these policies. And honestly, we're also taking yours. What as our customers what our customers are telling us that they want to see to ensure that they feel and trust that they are safe. From a Delta perspective, we are doing a little differently than others, and I think we actually have an interesting visual we could move on to that I could walk you through some of those initiatives that we're doing at the airport on arrival and on board that can help explain the things that we've already incorporated based on your feedback.
Okay, you ready to go through that, Matt?
Absolutely.
All right. All right. And I'm going to, once I figure this out here, give you, I'm sharing the screen. Okay, so do you have it on the screen, the Delta?
Yep.
Okay. If you want, just tell me the next slide. I'll move it forward as well.
Great. Let's go ahead to the next slide.
All right.
So I'm not going to read everything on this page, but know that we've been taking a very thoughtful approach to the entire travel journey, and we've put measures in place throughout the travel ribbon that are going to help ease your concerns as it relates to social distancing and cleanliness measures at the airport and on the ground as well as in the air. So let's move to the next slide and talk a little bit about what you should expect when you're arriving at the airport. So as I mentioned earlier, we're working with the CDC as well as the World Health Organization to ensure that you have a safe experience when you arrive at the airport. You're going to notice now that masks or some type of face covering are now required for both Delta employees as well as our customers. And we will have them available to you if you don't show up at the airport with one. We'll have them at the counter to be able to give you one, as they are required from the moment that you begin your journey through the airport. We have placed sanitation wipes and Purell stations throughout the travel journey as you make your way from the curb to the gate and on board. Of course, just a general reminder that your Fly Delta app allows you to be able to check in online, and you don't actually have to use a kiosk at arrival on the airport, so you can minimize that touch point on the kiosks. Although the kiosks and the ticket counters, our baggage stations, all of that are going through rigorous and continuous wipe down with disinfectant. If you're one of the few or the many like myself that have clear for the expedited, in addition to pre-check, you can get clear for expedited TSA and those pods that exist at all of at the airports in which it's been deployed. They're getting rid of the middle one and providing a little bit further distance, and they're also going through the same rigorous wipe down of the pods themselves. So you don't have to necessarily use your fingerprint too. It's just a quick reminder that you also can do the facial recognition. So
it's good to know.
Yep. The TSA, we're working with the TSA at every airport to ensure that every other lane is being utilized to be able to help provide greater social distancing, and we're sanitizing the bins frequently throughout the day, every couple hours, and they're wiping down the ETD machines and allowing passengers now to actually carry a 12-ounce hand sanitizer throughout security, which is great. So you don't have to just have the little mini ones. You can bring more of an industrial size with you. So let's move from arriving at the airport to before your flight. Again, just a general statement that we're cleaning every surface, and we have a very rigorous checklist, just completely elevating the cleanliness experience. One of the things that's happening on the aircraft while you're waiting at the gate is we have the Delta Clean team that doing electrostatic sanitizing spray. You can actually go to delta.com and see a video of this. It's about a minute long, and it'll kind of show you what exactly is happening. But we are basically spraying a disinfectant that is going to kill 99.999% of viruses, including coronavirus, on all seats, as well as the tray tables. We'll hold the bins open and spraying in the bathroom, and that's happening before every single flight.
Matt, what we'll do is when we send out the video to our clients, we'll also include those videos as well.
Great. It's pretty fascinating technology, because it's a similar chemical that's been deployed in hospitals and restaurants, but never in its form. When it goes on basically solid. So it's immediately breathable / it's not going to have any impact on you, and it eradicates the virus. So that's great. I think I mentioned, of course, that we're going through an extensive clean list. We're calling it Delta Clean. If the plane doesn't pass the spot inspection by our crew, then they're being brought back and make sure that everything is clean. Never before has, and I've had colleagues that have actually taken flights in the last week, and it's just never been as clean as it is today. And the good news about that is these aren't just measures that we've done from a cleanliness perspective for the near term. These are the new standard. We won't ever turn our back on delivering the same extensive cleaning experience going forward. So at the gate, our gate agents are making announcements encouraging safer space in the jet bridge. We're only boarding 10 customers at a time, and we're boarding from back to front. While recognize that's also allowing those that are sitting in the front and premium cabins to not continuously be passed by. However, if you have Delta Elite status or Sky Team Elite status and enjoy priority 1 boarding or early boarding, you're still welcome to do that, but it's welcome to you, but not a requirement. We are going to start from the back now just to minimize that touch point. So we'll move on then to the actual experience on board.
Is that the right slide?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So plane is clean. You're on. What have we done? So I mentioned earlier to you a little bit about the near term. We've capped load factors again at 50% up front and 60% in the main cabin and Comfort Plus. We've also blocked middle seats. So you can rest assured that on a three abreast seating that there will be nobody in a middle seat. On aircraft like the A220, the Airbus A220 that is narrow body 2 and 3, you'll see staggered seating blocked. You'll notice that even in path when you're actually purchasing the ticket, we've already pre-blocked those seats and they're not even assignable.
Matt, that is guaranteed then? The center seats will be blocked?
Yes.
Okay. I know your competitor caught a little bit of attention with that.
Yeah, absolutely. For the near term, for sure, we're blocking it. There's no exception to that rule. We're going to take as for the near term that if we're hitting that capacity mark of 60% on the aircraft as far as capacity, we'll add another one, or we'll upgauge.
Okay.
We want to remind everybody we've always had these, but we have these fantastic HEPA filters that recycle the air on board, ensuring that the air that comes back through has been cleansed, and it's killed 99.999% of viruses, including coronavirus. we've pared down our food and beverage offering, not because we're cutting costs, but because we're minimizing the touch point of how many times our flight attendants are going to interact with you on board. So once you're in the air, flight attendants will come around with a prepackaged kit that has a bottle of water and a couple of snacks, as well as a sandy wipe to be able to wipe down and clean up afterwards. Also, you'll notice if you look in your seat pocket in front of you that we've reduced the non-essential items. So yes, the emergency information is still in there, but we've eliminated Sky Magazine. We're not doing the for the Delta One cabin or first class. We're not doing glass and towel service. Those things have been done again to be able to minimize touch points.
Gotcha.
Arrival, we're making an announcement when we pull up to the gate to please remain seated, and to give the row in front of you a chance to exit. And again, there will be an agent waiting in the jetway to be able to restrict the number of people flowing through that jetway, similar to on the boarding experience, to ensure that we're continuing to comply with social distancing. And then finally, at the baggage claim, if you've got checked bags, we're going through the same increased cleanliness by disinfecting the surfaces there multiple times a day, and a significant deep clean that goes on at night that used to be kind of more of a monthly thing is now a nightly cleanse.
Matt, this is really good information as you step through the entire process. You know, one thing, I'm a frequent traveler myself, and I am bouncing off the walls right now because my wife isn't used to seeing me at home as much today. But some things I'm kind of curious about. The airport, even within the terminals, is food service available?
So I know that varies by airport. There is food service available in the airport, and similar to like on board for us, it's prepackaged and to minimize touch point, and there won't be as many options.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Curbside, is that available today, or is that for baggage curbside?
That I actually don't know the answer to, so there might be one thing that we can give our readers or our listeners and a little bit further clarity when you send this out.
Great. Well, this is great. This is a tremendous flow of what to expect in the process, and it's great to see all the initiatives that Delta has taken. So thank you for sharing. I'm going to stop sharing here the screen, and we'll make this available to everybody as we send out the information. So what do you think? In closing, as we go into, if you want to call it post-COVID-19, I don't expect you to pull out a crystal ball, but what do you think? What's the recovery timeline looking like in your eyes and Delta's eyes?
So right now, we know that the recovery is going to be choppy. It's going to take longer than any of us would like to see. We've guided a little bit that, and I think I mentioned earlier in the call, we're adding back capacity around 3 to 5 points a month, and we can accelerate that or slow it down or pause as necessary in order to ensure that for the most part, it's about working with the government bodies and ensuring that shelter in place goes away, and that we can ensure free flow of people. So we expect to add 3 to 5 points back on the domestic side, and then international to lag a little bit over the next 18 months, probably for that same build. Our hope is within around three years. So by 2020, summer of 2022, you'll see almost a very normal, back to 2019 levels.
Okay.
But again, very fluid.
Right. Anything can change. That's for sure. Your information was absolutely fantastic and spot on. So thank you. Here are a couple of my takeaways. ramping up new services or aircraft that could take anywhere between 1 to 2 weeks. You're spot on with safety and how you've addressed it, especially with the flow as the experience through the airport and the arrival. Loyalty points, you have obviously increased that and created further incentives. Clear, I did not, of course, I knew that you could do both eye and fingerprint, but you don't have to do just fingerprint, so eyeball works great, you don't have to touch it. The gate, great information about 10 people at a time as they're boarding. And the back of the plane, boarding from the back of the plane and the block in the center seats. Anything else you want to, any other takeaways we should relay?
Just a heartfelt thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell our story today. We know everyone's situation is unique. We're committed to being flexible. Just a reminder that at Delta, our approach is to listen, act, listen, and your feedback is critical for us to be able to continue to evolve the fluidity of our waivers, our flexibility, and to be able to build your trust. So we want to continue to hear your feedback. Tell us where you want to fly, where you want to go first, when you want to be here. Know that we're ready for you right now and in the future, whenever you and your travelers are ready to fly again.
Thank you, Matt. I really appreciate that message. Thank you so much for spending time with us this afternoon. Great information, and I look forward to the feedback we get from our clients. So thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
For everybody out there, next week we'll be talking to Zane Kirby, who's the president and CEO of ASTA, American Society of Travel Advisors. And he's going to be talking about how the new policy changes throughout the industry are impacting not only the travel agency, travel management company community, but also consumers. And so I look forward to chatting with him next week. So again, Matt, thanks again, and thank you, everybody.
Thanks.